Alright, so get my trusty pry bar in there. Raise the bed up a little bit. Try not to put any kinks in the bed. Pop this back. Move the other side a little bit. Now this side doesn't seem to be bent. I don't know how bad that is. Well, in the pop-up ball website, there was no hammering or cursing or anything. But this is the real world, and things don't cooperate. Well, I'm pretty close to 6 inches back. Now I can put this other one in. The front one should not be anywhere near as difficult. In. Alright, well, I'm back under here, and I've got a couple drift pins to use to line the holes up, and to get that bracket it's in a bind. I got a large crescent wrench, but I've gone one size bigger than this even to twist it upright. So now we're nice and upright. Let's do the other one. The other one looks like it's got to go forward a little bit. That's got to go this way. Alright, so now I've got to lift this heavy beast up in here and put a couple drift pins in place to keep it in place. Now yeah, it's pretty heavy. I don't know if I can do that with one hand. Now the offset, the ball's offset, that's got to go to the front. Pretty sure anyway. Been known to get things backwards. Ouch. So I get that up in there. It was a day not too long ago where lifting this up with one hand would not have been a problem for me. So I don't have a helper. According to the book, you're supposed to hook onto this, let somebody up above pull it up for you, but there's nobody up there. I looked twice. And I don't think my arm is going to be long enough either. Alright, I get a different position. Get up over there. They're not quite far enough apart. I don't have enough boost here to jam it together. Alright. let it down. Move this one forward. You guys probably have a pretty good view of the back of my head here. Alright, it's up in there. I got one in there. Alright, I'm going to see if I can reach that from the top and pull that up in there. Alright, you can see I managed to get the eye bolt, which in the directions they call a carriage bolt. There isn't a carriage bolt in the pack. As you get up that through the hole, darn it, the screwdriver I chose to use to hold it up is too big. I'll use the part of the jack. This is what lowered the tire. Okay, so it's not going to fall now. I can maneuver it to roughly the right spot. Well, I don't have anything else in here to prop that up. That'll, well, I do. Alright, I'm going to get down there and hopefully put some bolts in so they won't fall. Alright, so I've got a couple bolts. I still have my drift pins around here someplace. Drift punches. Try to line up a hole or two. And we have to get on these nuts to drive them. I think the best way for these is to go this way. There we go, that one's in there. Alright, well, you get the idea. I don't think I have enough memory to show you me putting all these in here, and of course you don't want to see that anyway. But I've just got to work all these bolts in, then tap the frame, get it lined up just where it's supposed to go, and then we'll put the side pieces in. Alright, well, I'm back again. Now it has some, it says to identify the driver's side plate, and that's the one with the numbers on it, the labels. A couple things I forgot to show you. The forward bolts on this forward rail are a bitch and a half to get in. In the video I watched, they showed them putting one or two bolts in the back rail, zip the air wrench. You can't get on most of the bolts on the front. You have to do them with ratchets, and they're hard to get to. Ratchets are gear wrenches, what I used. So the other thing, I'll zip up here and show you. You have to line up everything. I think you can see. Yeah, you can see that. See, I lined it up so it fits perfectly in the hole. Luckily, my hole was reasonably close. This driver's side bracket was really hard to put in. It took me 20 or 30 minutes, and I found it near impossible to edit that video down to where it made any sense. So let me tell you how to do it. First thing you do is this little 1/4 inch carriage bolt, or maybe it's 5/16 carriage bolt. It goes in this hole. I made a mistake and put it in that hole first and I had to take it out. So you put this in before you even put the bracket up here. Put it in and just put this nut on there loosely, just to hold the carriage bolt in place, capture it so it doesn't fall out. The second thing you do before you put the bracket in is you run this big bolt through from the inside and put your spacers on it. You'll have to eyeball it or take a straight edge and run from here across to make sure you've got it the right number of spacers in it. So either have a helper hold that in from the back, or I reached my hand under the frame here and held it in while I put the bracket on. Slide the bracket over it, put your nut on just loose. Then I did the same thing back here. I just slid this nut bolt from the back. That has a large rectangular support washer that holds that steady in the frame. That has to go in from the back. And then I ran this nut on the washer. Then I put these bolts through. I had to take a drift punch and stick it through one of these holes and line it up while I put the bolts and nuts on in the other hole. After the whole thing's assembled and tightened down, I came in and put the emergency brake bracket on this carriage bolt. So that's it. Move on. Back under the truck here, everything's bolted in. It's like 95% done. It started raining, so I had to put the camera away. Now the directions say keep things loose, keep it loose, keep it loose, and then all of a sudden it says torque it to this spec. It doesn't say what to tighten first. Now obviously you want your ball to be in that, lined up with that hole. There's a little ring up there that's got to line up with the hole you drilled. So you line that up and try to make these nice and straight, and then tighten all these bolts down and torque them. The next thing I torqued with the bolts on the ends to the side brackets, and then I torqued these big bolts down. There's a little bit of slop there, so you can maintain your alignment. I forgot the rod. There's a rod that goes in here and goes through the hole in the frame. Well, it goes right through here, through there, through the frame. You can reach it from the driver's side and pull it through. And I can't do it from here, but I guess pulling it sideways makes it go. I should have looked at that before I put it in. Okay, so remember that front part of the heat shield, that stays in there. You gotta bolt that down. When I drilled these holes for the U-bolts to hold the safety chains, obviously I drilled 2 holes that shouldn't have been there. Try to line it up so that you're drilling in the valley. I drilled in the high spot without thinking, and drill in the valley of your ribs. That way this is going to stick down further. Won't stick up as much in the way. And I could not get a nice straight shot in there with a nice 1/2 inch drill bit, and it was pretty difficult to drill up from the bottom with a drill bit anyway, 1/2 inch. And so I lined it up as best I could with a 1/8 inch drill bit, drilled a pilot hole, went to the top and used a 3/8 drill bit to enlarge the hole a little bit and guide it down into the 9/16 holes in this bracket. Then I followed that up with a 1/2 inch drill bit, being very careful not to get it in a bind so it would snap. But that worked pretty well. They're lined up well. Alright, I've got to put these bolts on and get out of the rain. I put these nuts on, run them up so a couple threads are showing. They're self-locking, so allow it to move up and down. This rod has a dimple in it that this screw has to line up with. The directions didn't mention anything about it, but I'm going to come back and take that out and put some Loctite on that screw so it doesn't come out. Anyway, well, see if it works now. I have to, I think it's 100% hooked up. All I have to do, I would put a touch of grease on this and put the spare tire back on. I'm going to give her a shot here, give her a try. That's all there is to it.